Welcome to episode 9. I've been procrastinating doing this episode because that's just what I do. I had all day to record this episode. In the time it took me to wait for this episode, I could have recorded 10 episodes. Does it matter whether I have 1 or 10 episodes? I guess I'd like to think that it does, because the formula for success being more episodes means more clip combinations, means more positions taken up in the search algorithm, means more people potentially searching for or getting recommended this video, and more people than watching the clips and watching the episode. Now, as of the recording of this episode, I haven't cut anything into clips, and I think we just want to kind of applaud that. I guess what I want to say is that I'm looking for editors. So the cat that was just up here is now, I don't know, can you see that? Let's see if she leaps up. That's a long way for her to leap up. Is she going to do it? Will you see it? Ooh, did you see it? I don't know if you saw it. She just leapt up. She's not concerned with what's going on here. It is her time to have attention given. And she will not give no for an answer. So episode 9, I had a lot of things that I wanted to say. I think one of the most appropriate parts about this episode is the fact that we got rid of the studio. I burnt the studio down. There is no more studio. What there is now is a black void, because I think this is an appropriate episode to have the black void, because the whole point of this is for me to be able to get out content as efficiently as possible. To have something that no matter what is going on, I can still turn on the recorder and get something, capture the moment, capture the essence of this moment. And there's a lot of photographs and things that I take where I'm not in the frame. I try not to be in the frame. I went to school for doing videography and using cameras and being able to shoot other people. I've been involved in all different kinds of projects, this show being one of them, this fantastically produced show. And there would be, I guess, a side of me that would be horrified with how I'm producing this show. So this show is an exercise in a different philosophy of life. And if you've gotten to this 9th episode, however you got to it, maybe you got to it through a clip, maybe you got to it through one of the other episodes, maybe you got to it through a way which I can't even fathom right now that I'd be promoting this show. However it is that you got here, I want to welcome you to episode 9 of the Rick Troutner Show. And I guess that's my introduction to this episode. That's the pilot. So you already have that. You can walk away with that and you can be happy with that, or you could stay for another 55 minutes or so, and it could get worse, it could get better. I don't really want to, set the expectations low or high. I don't want to set the expectations at all. I think it would be unfair for me to set the expectations. I think that's just one of the big problems that we have right now, is that expectations are being set. We're thinking that we're setting the expectations when really, at the end of the day, only you can set the expectations for yourself. So no matter what you're listening to, what you're watching, what you're doing, there's a level of what you think it's going to be like, and then the reality of what it is. And I think that's one of the big enigmas of life, is that we live in the past, present, and future. We're always living in the present, but in our minds, we travel to the past and to the future while in the present. Now, the past is clouded by just the nature of memory and memory through time and our recollection of memory and the biases which form after that. So memories, that's some kind of meme from somewhere. Memories, they fade, they change, they mold, they adapt. And then the future could be just as wrong as the past. Our perception of the future could be just as wrong as the past. Parts of it could be right. And by the future, the only thing I can mean practically, logically, is what our expectation of the future is. And this brings us back to expectations. So I guess the title of this episode is Expectations. And anything in life, as being a living creature, you have expectations. Even the cat that we had on earlier in the episode, she had expectations of what was going to happen when she came up on this table. And she started rubbing her face on all the equipment and probably almost destroyed this episode, which would have been a great travesty to the American global cultural experience if this piece of media was not properly captured. And I mean, I think that we would have to get the U.S. government involved to legislate against these cats that are just kind of getting in the way. If my mother's watching this video, she would highly disagree with the fact that this cat is getting in the way. It's my mother's cat. And she would rightly believe that the cat wasn't getting in the way. The cat was being a cat. But for the sake of argument, the cat was in the way. And I think swift action needs to be taken against cats of all kinds that just get in the way of Zoom calls, video interviews, video productions. How many video productions have been partially ruined by a cat just doing what it wants to do? You know what I mean? She's looking at me. She knows I'm talking about her. And she knows that she's now part of the show, and she's wondering what her royalties are going to be for this show. Because she's wondering why it is that she really is looking right at me. This cat's just kind of looking right at me. She stopped looking at me now. But she has an idea. She has an idea of what's going on. She has an expectation of what's happening in the weird human language. She's reporting back to the mothership. And the mothership will be taking care of me shortly. So episode 9 may be the last episode that I ever record before the feline alien race comes down and liquidates me. And it's been a fun ride, y'all. But the expectations is we live our life more by expectations. I wonder if we had any expectations before life. Did we have any expectations of life beforehand? Leave a comment down below if you remember being alive before being alive. If it's that famous saying, I think therefore I am, by whoever the F that guy was that quoted that. Maybe it was a woman. Maybe whoever said that quote was, it's like that episode of Drunk History, which is reportedly a real life historical event where a woman, she dressed up as a man to be able to fight in some army for some war. I mean, out of all the equal opportunity things, you would think that allowing women to fight in wars would have been like a no-brainer a long time ago. Like I love how there was, where women had no rights and couldn't do anything, had to be stuck at home and couldn't go off to war, and that was that was seen as like, I wonder what the real view of it at the time was. You know what I mean? Like, that's an interesting thing. What has the perception of going to war, like, as like you having to personally go to war? I guess there's always a segment of the population that would like to do that. And they may like it for a number of reasons, some of which may be that they think it's the right thing to do, they think it's a good thing to do, or they think it's a fun thing to do. And those are the people that you gotta kind of worry about. But maybe that's where the outlet comes in. But that's still because somebody has to be on the receipt. The best case scenario would be that somebody who finds that it's fun meets someone else that finds that it's fun, and they can kind of knock each other out, and it'll be like fun for them. What's horrible is when somebody that finds that it's fun meets somebody that finds that they're doing the right things, or because they have to, maybe they're defending, there's always those two, the aggressor and the non-aggressor. So somebody who's truly a non-aggressor, right? This is all hypothetical. We're not talking about any particular conflict at the time. We're just in general, in human history, in the history of conflict. The expectation would be that you were to either, like, what would be the frequency of a war going on, and then your chance of having to be life or death in that war. Like, I guess over human history, the life or death situations have, on aggregate, gone down. I don't know. Maybe they've stayed the same, and but as a percentage, because there's a lot more people, so there's a lot more chances for crazy things happening. I mean, there's just that many more people. If the population charts are right, I don't know. I haven't been counting, but it definitely seems like the traffic's getting a little denser. They keep on putting up the buildings, so it seems like, from anecdotal evidence, I haven't counted the population, but from what everybody seems to be saying is that the population is going up, but maybe it'll be going down. I don't know. It's very hard to tell as a singular observer. I mean, this is where the data and the facts and the scientists and, and the experts and everybody comes in. Because how can you, one little, measly idiot that has these 5 very kind of good senses for being able to survive in like a 10 to 15 foot radius? Like, human beings are and we're not even very good at that. I mean, if you think about how much of a room you're not seeing, how much of a space that you're not interacting with because of how the human eye sees, like, the human eye really just sees such a minute part of the universe, like the sliver of the universe, that even if you had the greatest life, that it's the same. It's essentially the same. Like, if we drew line graphs, and those I have to curse in the show, those fuckers that are doing the travel things, and they're traveling from here to there, and they got photos, and they're here and they're there. If we do a line chart, we can graph how much you've moved, in the universe, from as a line of the Earth going around the sun going around the galaxy, and the galaxy going around who knows what the fuck it's going around. And we track that, and the deviation between my line and your line, if you zoom out, is insignificant. Like, we're all on the same trajectory. We're all, for all as we know, everyone that we've ever known, we've been kind of on the same trajectory. In 4D space-time, we're taking up the same line, pretty much. The percentage difference, it is different, I'll give you that, but it's different for everyone. You know what I mean? And because of that, there's a lot of ways to see life. There's a lot of ways to be able to experience life. There's a lot of things to do and to not do, things that you can never do. And that adds a little bit of anxiety. I wonder, do cats suffer any kind of anxiety? I'm sure they do, right? They suffer some stress. Like when people were putting cucumbers behind the cats and they were jumping up and people were like, oh, you're scaring. I've never put a cucumber behind a cat with the intent to scare it. I think that would be cruel. That wouldn't be a nice thing to do. It would be kind of a lot of effort for cruelty. It's a lot of effort to do like a cruel thing. And don't put cucumbers behind cats. But either way, what is the point are the expectations. And one's expectation of how things should be, how things are going to play out, are definitely influenced on the past. I'm sure you have things that you thought were going to go one way, but they went another way. And then you have time to reflect and think, what influenced you to think that something was going to happen one way as opposed to another way? And you learn. Episode 9 should really just, I wanted to distill. I've done some episodes where I've gone through a lot of information, but this is an episode where I just, you get to know the host. There's no guests on this show. There's no one else coming on this show. No one's bothering. No one's watching. No one's listening. But this is the new memory. And I think that's part of the dilemma that we're facing, is that human memory is now meeting digital memory in the collective grand scheme of things. And it's the cause for a lot of this conflict. Things were able to get lost before. Things were able to disappear in the past. Paperwork was able to be shredded and disappear. Things can still disappear. The thing is that the average person can now access a lot of things that they couldn't access. A lot of people can access the same information at the same time. And that information could be a day old, a year old, 10 years old, 20 years old, and it'll still retain the same literal context that it retained when it was written or created. The same is to be said about written works. And there is no permanence. There's actually less permanence of digital work, because digital could be changed and you wouldn't know about it. Like if there's an original work on paper somewhere that still exists, changes can be detected. You could do undetectable change to digital data. I mean, the only way you'd be able to detect it is if you had proof of the old one, which on a lot of things online you do. The Wayback Machine. Man, so people have been in conflict. It's just part of the nature, the turbulent. If we are biochemical, fluid, dynamically controlled beings, then what we have going on is all of the same turbulence and disturbances and storms and issues that form in any other system in the universe. If we look at our own atmosphere, the image of a tornado just keeps coming into my mind, of something where seemingly out of nowhere on the wavelength that we can perceive, seemingly out of nowhere, a phenomenon occurs which can cause massive change to the environment in a very short amount of time. A tornado ripping through an area, for human beings, for the animals, it's damage. There's damage going on, but in terms of a unfeeling universe, there's this change happening. Change, the rate of change. And while there's this allegedly phenomenon of entropy dispersing itself through the entire universe, which is ultimately supposed to even everything out so that there's no concentrations of matter that can organize in any kind of way that can create any kind of phenomenon. Everything will be uniform, everything will be the same, and there will be it will be everything and it will be nothing. This is the theory, right? And there's an amazing video. This is where now I may need to bring up some content, some outside content. And I'm going to put it behind me. And this is a very popular thing. And let's put it up behind me right here. Oh, that's not the screen I want to put. Let's put that screen. There we go. We have ads running behind me. So this is this Protocol Labs where they did the time lapse of the future. I may just have this play behind me because it's kind of beautiful. And so as this happens behind me, what it says, everything has this wonder, is what does the future look like? Right? How will the universe meet its end? We may never truly be certain. But science has begun to paint a stunning picture of how the future might unfold. Let's take a journey to the end of time. I'll move myself over a little bit. Here, we'll lock this. We'll unlock me. And we'll slide me over. All right. This vision of the future will surely evolve. The universe has only just begun. And this video, in particular, kind of opens your mind into the length of what the future actually is, because the timescales that we're accustomed to, which makes sense, is timescales where we think, to the best of what some people are saying, knowledge. I mean, if you ask some other people, things are going to be over any minute now. Like the doomsday is coming. Look at that. Oh, look at these doomsday things happening. Whoa. I should probably put me in front of that because I can definitely see this getting copy strike. So this is going to be behind there though. And drastic sea level rise. Whoa. And the amount of time that the future holds is so much longer than you would think. You'd think, oh, it's a few billion years, which you already can't wrap your mind around. No one can really wrap their mind around 10 years, 100 years, 1,000. No one can wrap their mind around that. I mean, it truly is. The more you know, the more you realize you don't know. I'm not saying I know much. I really don't. But no one does. Oh, look. Also, in 1.7 million years, the footprints on the moon will have disappeared. Stone monuments erode. Deadly gamma ray burst. Mars moon becomes a ring. Mars moon is becoming a ring. Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Stop what you're doing. Mars moon is going to become a ring in like 30 million years. Oh man, so we're going to have another major asteroid impact in like 70 to 150 million years. Oh, there's a new supercontinent in 200 million years. Stay tuned for that, everyone. Well, this is intense. This is made And they're just using clips from here. I see BBC on there. They're using clips from like everybody. I wonder where they're getting all these clips from. The sun expands. It's all over, folks. Yeah, in 6 billion years, it's all over. But it's going to continue in the universe. I mean, what is this place? What is this place that we're in? This is why I can't do the show, because it always just gets this question. Like every episode is just gonna get to this point. That's like, what is going on? You know what I really had that I wanted to talk about this episode is I wanted to talk about dancing. That's what I wanted to talk about, and I had a whole thing that I wanted to talk about how I started getting into dancing. I think I touched on it in some of the early episodes and the earlier episodes in this. But I was brought in by a friend to start doing some dancing. And I'm like, shit, why the hell not? We're all going to be dead anyways, you know? Might as well do some dancing. And of course, down here in South Florida, you know, what the hell is there to do? I mean, you can either go to a bar and either you already have people that you're with, or you're going to meet new people to then be with, to then do whatever. I mean, you could do a number of things. I mean, by meeting various people it really is you're throwing the universal die when you're going into social events. There's this joke by a comedian. I don't even know if it's a joke. It's kind of like an anecdote, but he makes it into a joke. But it's a story about someone he knew that they met he met his, and I can actually bring up another example of this. Here we go. So I don't even need to bring up some anecdote. Let's go to Inside Edition. Inside Edition is a very interesting channel because it's like a broadcast channel, but it's very meme focused. It's a very meme focused kind of thing. Like it's very tabloid. It's like a tabloid magazine TV show. That may even be how they describe themselves. Inside it, longest running, top rated, syndicated news magazine. Yeah. It's a tabloid. Why Felicity Huffman felt like a terrible mom. I'm just going to put these clips just with these titles. Snowboarders paraglide over cliffs in new extreme sport. Snowboarders paraglide over cliffs in new extreme sport. I want to click that. I want to know more. These are some of the biggest news stories, but where's the story that I found? Just inane. Like, how did they find this story? That's what I want to know. Here we go. Look at this. Look at this nonsense. And I mean, great story. Heartwarming. Love it. Neighbors fall in love on the elevator during lockdown. Okay, here's the question. How the fuck did they get this story? Did they submit this story? Did this fucking couple contact Inside Edition and they're like, you know what? We met in an elevator and we want everyone to know. Who found this story? This guy fell in love with the girl next door, literally, all because of the pandemic. Maybe they would have fucking met anyways. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? This, yeah, sure. It probably increased the chances marginally, moderately, but people meet and fall in love fucking all the time in all kinds of fucking situations. In elevators, in parking lots, in grocery stores, in nightclubs, in bars, in fucking off the side of the street, in so many fucking weird situations. Why is this a news story? It's a feel good news story. It's better than 100 people murdered or some kind of shit. I mean, what the fuck is the news anyways? Like, what is the news? What is the news? Who really needs the news? News is just a revenue generating. I mean, things that affect you, sure. How the fuck does this affect you? Other than for entertainment, ooh, I mean, it affects Inside Edition because they just got 357,000 views on this shit, and I'm sure they're making revenue. Look, 240 people, two people are like, nah. Now look at this guy. He's like, why is Inside Edition here? She's like, I called them. I called them here. She's like, why the fuck did you call Inside Edition and tell them that we didn't even meet in an elevator? We went to college together, but I wouldn't get on Inside Edition if I said that we met in college and we've known each other since we were kids. What the fuck are you talking about? But that's not a story. All right, let's see. Can I put the sound on a little bit here? Like all this footage. What? Who found this story? How did this happen? Look at this shot. This is how it happened. This is how it happened. He looked at the Inside Edition camera, which was already there, and he's like, oh, fancy this lady over here. Hello. And I'm holding this weird what is she holding? Hello. What is she holding? What is that? See, if I was on the 10th floor of the Chicago high-rise, I'd be like, bitch, why are you holding this? No. What are you holding? Go back. Stop breathing in the hallway. Go back in your box. I'll go back in mine and go read. Is that a book? What is that? For months, he made occasional small talk in the elevator. So this was already a work in progress. What the fuck are you talking about, Inside Edition? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? This isn't not during lockdown. So if it's for months... Oh, I guess so. Hold on. I guess this is now a reaction video to this. Let's just fucking react to this. This is gonna get copyright strike. I know it.
This guy fell in love with the girl next door.
I don't even need to do commentary. What commentary?
All because of...
Lovely story. Now casting. I am now casting. I want to be on Inside Edition. I think that would help this channel a lot. So I am looking for... It could be a woman. It could be... someone that, we can kind of fabricate a either heartwarming or weird or interesting story to then go on Inside Edition. Look at the keywords for this. Heartwarming. Illinois. Neighbors fall in love. Lockdown love. For the love of God. Pandemic love. Neighbors pandemic love. This woman's name. Is she like some kind of... Okay, that's it. We're doing couple who lived in Starbucks. Okay, what's going on here? Advertising. Oh, this is like a robot making this video. Alex Moore. Are these different people? No. Let's just because it's squish. They've lived in the same apartment building since September 2019. Their romance started because of the coronavirus pandemic. Why is this about Rachel DeSantis? Oh, so this is where this started. So is Rachel like this woman's friend? Let's see. Rachel DeSantis. Writer, reporter, LinkedIn magazine. Chief of People magazine journalist. This is journalism, is it? This is journalism. Okay, I want to find this article. Human interest. Oh, this is probably a treasure trove of reactionable content. So let's go over here. So this channel is about to blow up. I would subscribe to this channel now because I'm about to have 1 billion views, everybody. Couple who lived in same building strike out a COVID lockdown romance. Now I don't have an issue with this. I really don't. My issue is now let's get this. Nothing against the story, the people in the story. My criticism is of the twist of the language with COVID. Now, if I was that reporter, I would do the same thing. But the problem with it would still be the same, where you're twisting in this COVID lockdown romance, and Rachel DeSantis is not the only offender of this. You're twisting in. I'm going to be offender of this because I'm going to use the COVID thing in there as a reaction to the article that just happened to have it in it, but I'm going to be using the COVID keyword as well. Now, the COVID, how would this article play if it was just couple who lived in same building strike up a romance? You know what? Let's do that. Get the fuck out of here, People Magazine. Let's do that. Look, you want to we want to change this. So strike up a romance. So what if this was the article, right? What if this was the article? Couple this went from an article in People Magazine to an article in The Onion. Couple who lived in same building strike up a romance. We were able to find love. Like, of course you fucking did. You live in the same building. How fucking great is that? Look, okay, so this brings me. This has been a nice long extended tangent into where we want to get into me. This show is about me. There's no other show that's about me. There's no one else on the internet that gives a fuck about me. Let's make that clear, or about you either. Let's just make that clear. But there is one person who does, and that's me. So this story being that they lived in the same building and they were able to strike up a romance. That's great. Now, a better story would be couple who lived on the other sides of the world struck up a romance because they met passing at an airport, flying by those little where it's the escalator, but it's not stairs, and it's the people mover. So you zoom by the people that are going the other side, and you see someone there, and then you're able to cross paths somehow again, and now you're literally meeting in some kind of international hub airport, and you're crossing both sides of the world, and then somehow, some way. And, I'm not a good enough storyteller to make up that whole part of it, but it would be a couple who lived on the other side of the fucking world strike up a romance. Now that is a story, but a couple who lived in the same building, I mean, that's easy. It's real easy to strike up a romance with somebody you're already living in the same building with. Trust me, I know. I've had a romance struck up with someone I lived in the same building with. It was actually very simple to strike up a romance in a place that you live in the same building with. It's actually probably one of the easiest ways to strike up a romance. That doesn't mean that every time that you live with someone you're going to strike up a romance, but if you live in the same place, you're going to be able to strike up a romance a lot harder than if you didn't. Here's the thing. So in life, now you out there, you may have a completely different experience, but I think one of the big things that happens in the world is people need to have a reason to congregate, and people need to see another person multiple times involuntarily to be able to voluntarily want to see that person again. So now, depending on your social ability, on your ability to go out there and be able to quickly have a relationship with someone that you'd want to see them outside, voluntarily, is going to affect your ability to do this. But this is why people have group activities and do things in groups and have things where they do things multiple times in groups. Now, the kind of main activities that people do in groups, and you have to involuntarily see the same people over and over and over again, is work and school. Those are the two situations that you have to involuntarily see the same people over and over again. And when that happens, inevitably, relationships will form. They may not be great. They may not be healthy. They may not be beneficial. They may be toxic, but they will form. And from that, other relationships will form through the chain of kind of the human network, the 6 degrees of separation that exist, and especially in today's world. So, if you're not in if your work doesn't force you to be around other people involuntarily multiple times, and you're not doing any kind of schooling, and school doesn't just have to be school. Like I said, I started doing dancing. So part of starting to do dancing was going to a dance school. Because anyone can dance. Dancing is just moving your body to the rhythm of a song. And anybody can technically do that. But then there's a thing called partner dancing. And partner dancing is just that. It requires you to dance with a partner. And dancing with a partner has different rules than dancing by yourself. Dancing by yourself really has no rules. Really just the rules that you set on yourself. Try not to hurt yourself. Try not to hurt other people they're not rules, but they're good things to go by. They may be the law. They may be the law, but they're not the rules. Right? Partner dancing, if you're just doing your dance, then you're not partner dancing. Partner dancing means that you have physical contact with another person. Now, during the course of a song, you may disconnect that contact and you may reconnect that contact. But at some point, there is some kind of contact. And during those points of contact, there is a lead and a follow. And now, lead and follow aren't gender-specific words. A lead could be a female or a male, and a follow could be a male or a female. Now, for definitely many Spanish, Latin, Hispanic forms of songs, salsa, bachata, rumba, kizomba, zouk, samba, bomba, dumba, jumba, whatever the fuck. If it's a partner dance, now here, let's take a step back, because there's a comedic undertone here, even if you don't see it. I guess you would be able to say that I'm a contrarian. There are times where I relish being a contrarian. And I realize that. And a contrarian is a derogatory term. So I want to be able to embrace that term so that that I can't even, that if you're calling me that, it's like, I understand how I could be that. But, and this all comes back to expectations, because there's the expectation of doing something, and then there's actually doing the thing. So things that would be found, cool in the mainstream, I would tend to avoid them or not really get interested in them. And things that I would think were either kitsch or niche or kind of quirky, I would get, and they may not have been. They were probably pretty mainstream, but I thought they were. And I'll have examples of that at some point. Either way, dancing is probably one of those things. And I'm not the only one. And definitely across the male gender, more, especially partner dancing, more females tend to enjoy, look forward to, have a desire to dance, to go out dancing, to go spend money on dancing. And a bigger proportion of males, it would seem, anecdotally, would rather stay on the sidelines of the dance floor and not go on the dance floor and not engage in the dancing. And I was one of these people. I'm still kind of one of these people. And there's no reason to be one or the other. I mean, if you're happy with one or the other, if you're going to an event and there's dancing going on, don't feel any pressure to dance. But stepping into dancing and going to a dance school, I was, for the first time in a long time, exposed to having to see people voluntarily, involuntarily, on a regular basis. Because I'm voluntarily going to the dance school. See, that's the different thing. So you have but there's going to be people that are involuntarily meeting other people. Like maybe they didn't expect to meet that person there, but since I decided to go dancing, you decided to go dancing. Now we're meeting at the dance place. I didn't invite you to come. You didn't invite me to come. We weren't expecting each other to show up, but now we're here, right? And now that we're here, we have to dance. And as I said, I've been doing dance schooling. So there are dance classes. And part of partner dance classes is that you have a set of leads and a set of follows. And the lead have to do a certain set of moves, and the follows have to do a certain set of moves. And the lead is supposed to lead those moves, and the follow is supposed to follow the lead. It's the language makes it pretty clear. So so now that you're seeing, me, going into, and now I'm voluntarily seeing people over and over again, relationships form. Not particularly close relationships, but a relationship is just, there's a correspondence between beings, between beings. I tend to have as few relationships as possible because they're complicated. So I tend to have as few as possible, and with as few as I have now, I still have too many. So I'm very weary of engaging and beginning a relationship with anyone because of the complications and the expectations. I don't want there to be any expectations. I don't want to have any expectations. And you shouldn't have any expectations. And with neither of us having expectations, nothing happens in the universe, and we can peacefully just kind of ease our way into the entropic universal death which is awaiting us all. But since these relationships start, these interactions happen, as the interactions mount up, a narrative begins to form. Attitudes become apparent. Philosophies become more clear. Patterns of behavior become visible. And it is in any group of people that you enter yourself into that you'll be able to find the uniqueness of the chaos, of the harmony which exists between groups of people. And as a study of things which tend to function as more than a sum of their parts, groups of people tend to move in ways that individuals could not. Another great quote from some other comedian or something is that I hate groups. I think it's George Carlin. I'm probably wrong, but I hate groups, but I love individuals. When you see a group of people, when there's a mob, when a bunch of people are wearing the same kind of hat, the same kind of shirt, they're in the same kind of clothes, it behaves differently than a set of individuals. Now, the tough part about it is that for individuals to really get along, they never will, because here's kind of I don't want to say it's sad, but it's just kind of a cold truth. What you think your relationship is with anyone else will almost never match what the other person thinks of the relationship or you. You have an idea of what a person is in your mind. That person has an idea of you in their mind. You have an image of what they see of you in their mind, and vice versa. Now, that's the best you can do. And you can predict the future, and you have to predict the future to be able to even have a chance of surviving in your 10 to 15 foot bubble. But these expectations of the future are never right. They're never completely right. They may catch glimmers of what things are going to happen, and the closer you are to an event, both in space and in time, the more right you may be. You know, what am I going to be doing 7 minutes from now is I'm going to be ending this episode. It's going to be over. I'm going to click stop record, and that's going to be that. Now, in 7 minutes, some other shit could happen that would change what my expectation of the end of this episode was. But what is going to happen in an hour from now? I don't know. I may go out. I may stay. Who knows what will happen when I go out? Who knows what will happen if I stay? I haven't looked at my phone the whole time I've been recording this. Maybe there's texts. Maybe there's things going on. So I've been dancing for about 6 weeks now and really learning how to dance. And I'm terrible at it. I can barely keep up with the beat. There's brief moments where I can stay on beat. And this is one of my worries about getting into dancing, is that I'm very terrible at staying on beat. I've tried practicing. I'm very terrible at it. I tend to self-sabotage myself because I try to do something or I try to mix it up, and I tend to then get myself off beat. You know, do an extra step or something, because staying on beat. So the dances I've been learning has been bachata and salsa. No, not salsa. What am I talking about? Bachata and kizomba, which I had no idea was a dance until I went to the first dance class. The first dance class, I believe, was a kizomba class, which I didn't even know was a fucking word. I still don't know the difference between a kizomba dance and a zouk dance. Which brings me to a funny story of, well, we'll get into it. So, I wasn't a dancer at all. I could give a shit about dancing. You know what I mean? But I noticed as I got older and didn't have a full-time work or school situation where I'd be going and, be voluntarily interacting with the same sets of people every day, even if, over time it would change. You at least need 30 to 90 days with a group of people. At least for me. Some people need like a couple minutes, and now they're like old pals. And I've never noticed that, because how are you trusting that motherfucker so fucking fast? What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I'm always on high alert with new people. You know what I mean? And I mean, maybe that's a psychosis that I have, but I mean, you don't know what anyone's up to. What are you up to? What are you up to? You know what I mean? And so people that get real chummy real fast makes them even more suspicious than if they were, maybe a little quiet and just trying to figure it out. And I've realized in polite society, if you're a little too quiet, it gets people on edge. It gets people uneasy about who it is that you are. And sometimes I use this to my advantage. You can use silence as a tool. Nobody can force you to say anything. Remember that. Nobody can stop you from saying anything, and no one can force you to say anything. I mean, they may do some horrible things to you, but you don't have to say it. You don't have to say it. You don't have to say it. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to say yes. You don't have to say no. You don't have to say anything. Why do you have to say anything? Why do I have to answer your question? Who the fuck are you that I have to answer your question? You know what I mean? Who the fuck is anybody that they ask a question and they deserve an answer? You don't deserve shit. No one deserves a fucking answer for anything. What the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? And people feel differently. I'm sure that would be kind of a contentious position. But this is, I guess, my message, is that there should be no expectation. There really shouldn't be an expectation of anything. There shouldn't be an expectation of what to expect out of relationship. Anything that you want, you're going to have to get for yourself. Things may be given to you. You may have some strokes of luck that come your way, and you don't be ashamed of it. Take full advantage of your good fortune. Any good fortune that comes your way. Take full advantage of it, because this is all over anyways. It'll all be over anyways. And if you listen through this whole episode, that's like 1 hour. You're like 1 hour down, like 1 hour closer. Like, you don't need to worry about. You don't need to be stressed about it. The time is going to pass anyways. It's all going to pass anyways. So if you're the type that would want to go dancing, but don't set the expectations too high or too low. And I guess I just want to finish off on this. The other night, I guess I had the best dancing experience that I ever had. What it was so the night was going on, and there's a lot of stories that are going to come. I'm going to be doing a Netflix movie. Netflix, if you're listening, I have a movie to pitch to you, or Hulu, or whoever. I mean, maybe it's ISIS wants to buy the movie rights. Whoever wants to buy these movie rights. It could be Al Qaeda. It could be the Somali pirates. whoever wants to buy these rights to this movie, let's let it could be the U.S. government. Hey, maybe the U.S. government wants to make a dancing drama comedy thriller movie, because that's what it's going to be. It's and that's going to be the title, the dancing drama thriller comedy. So they're in the dancing community. You have people that are voluntarily seeing each other on a regular basis. And now you would think, if you've never taken a dancing class, your expectation of what dancing is, what partner dancing and what certain kinds of dancing is nothing like what it really is. Because you get into it and you realize that there's a group of people, like, you think you're going to go and there's just people that just kind of go and they're having fun and they're doing the dancing or whatever. And there are those people, and there's these circles, there's this onion of dancers. And in any community, I'm sure there's something similar to this, where at the core, and it's a community that's built around a fun activity, because there's communities around work and industry. There's communities obviously around, schooling and, academics. And then there's groups around hobby type of activities. And you have different levels of people. At the outer fringes, you have people that either through their family or through media or through a friend, and dancing is like a universal thing. Dancing is a fucking weird thing for people to be doing. If aliens looked down and saw, the little TikTok spaceship that was flying around, if that went over and flew over, Burning Man or, any of these salsa events, and you were just to... Now, here's what may be happening. So if you've ever had a cat, I'm sure that one of the things you'll notice that a cat does is that a certain time of the night or day, that cat will start sprinting around whatever space you have this animal trapped in, and it'll start sprinting back and forth, and really, unless the cat is old and dying. But a healthy adult cat, this is what they'll be doing. At a certain time, they may sleep for the rest of the day, but for about 30 minutes to an hour, depending on the cat, they'll be just bolting all over the place, right? Now, obviously, all we can do is from the studies that the scientists and the experts, and you know how I feel about them. No, but I mean, here's the thing. Unless if you did the study, all data is just potential facts. That's where the whole thing comes in. Even the most factiest of fact, it's the best fact that we have at that factual time. You know what I mean? Like, there many times facts are either disproven or we have to work with the best of what we got. And the best of what we got has gotten us pretty far. For me to even record this video, all right, so there's oh my god, I got so many freaking stories to get through. So there's this quote by Carl Pilkington, and his quote is, I've never needed E = MC squared in me life, but the fella who made a video recorder, I watch one a day. And this was his quote. And on the old Ricky Gervais show, which I have to say I'm a fan of because I listen to him a lot. But on that show, he says this quote, and I always wanted to be able to, I guess, make a video where I'm sure this has been debunked any which way, but from kind of a layman. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm much smarter than Carl. I don't want to diss somebody like that. You know what I mean? Or any of those people. And that dude's done fine for himself. So, more power to him. But for that, just that piece of language, just that as a statement. Without E = MC squared and kind of the mathematical basis, and I wouldn't even want to be one. I'm not a mathematician. I have no vested interest in protecting in standing up for maths and standing up for mathematic principles. But to stand up for mathematic principles, this video would not be able to be created without an understanding of E equals MC squared. Because just think of what E equals MC squared, because I mean, it's become a brand. Fucking E equals MC squared in this perverse world that we're in is a brand. You know, because when you actually dig it down, and it's what is it? It's energy equals mass times the speed of light squared, right? That's so the energy of an object goes up to the square of the mass. So if, right? Let me just make sure that's right. E equals mc. That expresses the fact that mass and energy are the same physical entity. Let me just see how they formally do it. Equation general theory expresses the fact that mass and energy are the same physical entity and can be changed into each other. In the equation, the increased relativistic mass of a body times the speed of light squared is equal to the kinetic. In the equation, the increased relativistic mass of a body times the speed of light squared is equal to the kinetic energy of that body. In physical theories prior to that, as mass and energy reviewed as distinct entities. Furthermore, the energy of a body at rest could be assigned an arbitrary value. In special relativity, however, the energy of a body at rest is determined. The energy of a body at rest is determined mc squared. Thus, each body of rest possesses mc squared of rest energy, which potentially is available for conversion to other forms of energy. The mass-energy relation, moreover, implies that if energy is released from the body as a result of such a conversion, then the rest mass of the body will decrease. It implies that if energy is released from the body and as a result of such a conversion, then the rest mass of the body will decrease. Such a conversion of rest energy to other forms of energy occurs in ordinary chemical reactions, but much larger conversions occur in nuclear reactions. This is particularly true in the case of the nuclear fusion reactions that transform hydrogen to helium, in which 0.7% of the original rest energy of the hydrogen is converted to other forms of energy. Stars like the sun shine from energy released from the rest energy of hydrogen atoms that are fused to form helium. So E equals mc squared. That understanding allows us to split the atom, to even have a basis of understanding to be able to split the atom, and thus be able to do nuclear reactions and many chemical reactions. And then E equals mc squared now relates to what it is that we as biochemical beings are. So within us, the reason that we have a body temperature of, people used to say it was 98.6 degrees, and now they say, it fluctuates throughout the day, but 95 to 100 degrees, depending on the time of day and, whatever. Then the reason that your body's at the temperature is because of the harvesting of the rest energy in the mass of your cells that is being turned into the useful work that it's doing. And then a byproduct of it is the heat that you let off. Now, this heat is quite incredible. I mean, it's the thermal, one of the most fascinating things about an automobile engine. And again, so let's talk about the three pillars of modern life. We have, the human body, obviously. That's pillar number one. No human body, there's no human life. Pillar number 2 is the automobile and the internal combustion engine, and that ability to generate rotation, because not only does that get things from point A to point B, but it's able to provide instant energy to mechanically perform the tasks that are needed to create the food and deliver the food that the human body needs for sustenance to survive. And then we have computers, computation, the ability to process, store, and manipulate information in the most efficient, using the most minute amount of energy and resources possible. So whereas before you needed pigeons and ponies and trains, and you still need underground sea cables to be able to transmit information, now you can transmit information through undersea cables instantly. And those messages can be interpreted and can be as complex as this video. Look how complex this is. I'm just kind of ranting about what's incredible about the world. So the point about the E equals MC squared statement and how it doesn't relate to anything is that it does. Because without an understanding of that, a lot of the devices that turn mass into energy and back and forth wouldn't be able to exist. I mean, for this computer to exist, for this camera to exist, for all these systems to work, mass is turning into energy and vice versa. Energy is turning into mass. So one's expectation of what is useful in the world is never the reality. And I was going dancing, and I guess I got kind of brought into this world of dancing. And the great thing about it is that I could care less about dancing. Like, if the movie Footloose happened in my life and they came out and they said dancing was banned, which would be a hilarious premise. It is a hilarious premise for a film. And it's amazing that it worked. But that dancing is banned. Like, how did that pitch meeting go? Dancing gets banned. It wouldn't affect my life all that much. But for certain people, it would be the end of the world. Like, for the people in the dance cult, and that's what I'm going to call it. Dancing in everything has a cultish vibe to it. So right now, or I think in the last couple of days, and I'm sure there's somewhere right now it's happening across the country, across the world, in a hotel room, in a convention room somewhere, there is a 50 to 100 people that are dancing, not in a club, not at a house party, not at a bar, not at a warehouse, but at a place where you would have, like those business seminars and, the continuing education seminars where those same events would be taking place. There is at sometimes a dancing event where people travel from around the world to go dancing. Something that you could do in your local area, that you could do in your fucking underwear in a little studio apartment. There are people that travel the world to dance in different places, I guess, with different people. And it's very strange. And if that's you, if you're a listener, you're into dancing, and you're like, how I'm furious that you would say this. Look, I get it. Life is a very lonely thing. And especially once you get to a certain age where you're not exposed, it depends what you're doing. If you're being exposed to how you're being exposed to people, because in a work environment, the competitiveness, the kind of cutthroatiness of it can kind of wear you down. And even as I anecdotally people that I've met as I've started going dancing have told me how they had seemingly high-paying, high-stress, many-hour jobs, and now they're doing something that's less hours, less stress. Maybe they're making less money, but they have more time to go dancing. And to travel places to go dancing. And I kind of get it. For a while, I was learning how. For the first few weeks, I say it a while like it's been years. No, it's just been 6 weeks. So for a few weeks, I would go to dancing events and I wouldn't dance. I would stand on the side. I would watch people dance because I would see how good. And I guess your eye is drawn to the people that really know how to dance, and you see how good they make it look. And then when you try to do it yourself, and if you don't have much experience, it's going to be very difficult to get into. You're going. It's a very difficult thing. And if you're not like the greatest dancer that is that has the natural ability for it, I definitely have no natural ability for it, and it seems like a very difficult thing to wrap your head around. But it does get better. So I wouldn't dance. And to people that are in the dancing community, this is looked at with contempt. If you're showing up to dance events and not dancing, it's not like, oh, hey, whatever. Some people do that. People now see you and they notice you, and you become the person that's not dancing. And that's fair. I mean, that's fair enough. It's the first time that I've experienced that. I've gone to plenty of events before where there was dancing and nobody gave a fuck if I danced or didn't. But people in the dance community do. So much so that, all right, so I guess the first night I went out, there's this instructor where he has a routine. And as I've gone to more events, I call it a performance art, because he has this Spanish accent, and he gets up and he teaches a class, and then he DJs a party. And he's very animated, and he's got the dancing down, and he's almost like a character. He's almost like a comedic character, because the good thing about comedy is a great comedy is when to the viewer the stakes are stupid. Like the stakes aren't that high. Like it to the viewer, it doesn't really matter whether the character achieves what they want, but to the character it means everything to achieve this stupid fucking goal. And to the viewer, then it's funny to see them struggle to achieve this stupid goal because it's fucking stupid. But to the character, it's so serious. Like, that's good comedy. Somebody trying to achieve something and failing at it, and it being the most serious thing for them, but the thing they're trying to achieve is fucking stupid or fucking pointless or unimportant or really not going to really affect anyone's life. So the objective of a dance instructor character, this dance, is to have the best raging party, and not one party, like in a movie. This is now where we get to the center core of the onion, where the center core of the onion are the people that spend their day, their nights, and their weekends dancing. They make their money dancing, and they spend their free time dancing. That's a different kind of person. You don't really understand that kind of person until you've seen that kind of person in action. Because there's people that, hey, maybe they DJ on the side and they're a fucking accountant during the day. But there are some people that are dance instructors. They do private dance classes, they do group dance classes, and then they do dance parties. And that's their whole fucking life. And I would blow my brains out if that was my life. So, being someone that couldn't care less about dancing brings a little bit of friction into the dancing community. Because someone who's uneasy, now, I could just not do it, but I want to do it, but I don't care if I don't do it. I know it'll probably be fun. Being good at dancing is fun. Sucking at dancing isn't fun. And this is the truth of why maybe someone doesn't get into it. Sucking at something is never fun. Being great at it, of course it's fucking fun. Right? So, sucking at dancing. Now think of this. You're seeing all these people on the dance floor. They're doing the dancing. They look great. And one of the things you learn about dancing, the lead and the follow dynamic, is that if you have a great lead and a mediocre follow, you can still get away with a good dance. It can look good to the outside observer. If you have a great follow, but a shitty lead, a lead that doesn't know what they're doing, the dance is going to look horrible. Just horrifying. It shouldn't be allowed to happen. And being that now, like I said, they're not gender specific, but usually, conventionally, traditional values, a lead would be a male and a follow would be a female. Now that doesn't make any, it's not a derogatory thing. It's just because the lead has the responsibility of, dictating what's going to happen when, which move is happening when. The follow has the responsibility of performing that move and making it look really good, which then makes it, the female form and the woman and the spinning, and especially salsa, and they wear those little skirts that then, when you do the spin, it like flutters up and it looks really good, and yada 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 yada. That's the whole point of dancing. Like I said, if an alien was watching human beings dancing, it would be like, we could take over this planet. These people are spending so much time fucking dancing, and why are they doing this? Which brings me to what I believe the dancing is, and what kind of the meaning of life is. Since we are these biochemical reactions, and we're converting energy into mass and mass into energy, and we're generating all this heat, and we have these expectations of what we want to do. At some times, you just have to let those expectations go, and you have to let the logic go, because there would be these urges that a biochemical being has, like the cat has at certain times of the day, that'll start sprinting and bolting across the freaking room. What the cat is doing is releasing energy. And what human beings are doing when they dance, dancing is a communal thing. It's even, before there was big civilization, when people were just tribes, they'd be doing the dancing. That's where a lot of dancing has come from. This is the early tribes, and that's been now, converted, whether it's the African dances or the islander dances or wherever these, the dances have come from, and everybody has their own dance, whether it's the Viking people or the people from all across the world have their different kind of dance. And the thing about dancing is this: I did a month of dance classes. So in a month of dance classes, I was introduced to a lot of different moves, a lot of different concepts, a lot of different things to do. And it's kind of overwhelming, but it could be, once you start getting the pattern, it does tend to get a little bit easier. And the nature of what dancing is, and being someone who's an outsider of it, and seeing how seriously these people take it. So the first few nights, you would see the DJ, and I was paying the DJ to go take the class. I was paying the DJ to go take the class, and then it's 2 classes and then a social after. And I mean, think of, you're not very good at the dance. You just went through a class and you struggled and you fumbled through all these, different moves. And now you have to go up to a stranger and you have to be the lead, and you have to go up and you have to be like, hey, let's dance. And now you have to start leading a dance with a complete stranger, and you have to do these moves and you have to do all this shit, and you have to do this with someone, and it's supposed to be fun, and people can feel when things are on beat, when it's going. So if you're not very good, you're very worried about just kind of delivering a pretty terrible experience for everyone involved. And this was part of the thinking that was holding me back, I guess, in progressing where I wanted to go as a dancer. And I'm not trying to be a fucking dancer, but the act of dancing and being able to at least know how to dance is useful. And it's useful in the sense that it gives you something to do. I mean, we're all counting down the seconds anyways. Look, I added another half an hour to this episode because I love you guys so much. I love these non-existent viewers that are not watching these videos so much that I added an extra half hour. So you're welcome. So the expectation of what the dancing is going to be is, because the expectation whenever you're in one of these dance classes is you see the move and it looks, I mean, it's not brain surgery. I mean, someone's doing a little twirl and you're doing some little steps and you're just moving your body like you've been moving however long you've been fucking alive. Literally, one of the quotes that I went into a free salsa class, and the free salsa class ended up being like 15 minutes, and it was like, the dance instructor, and I get it, it's like, oh, this is gonna be easy, and it's like, well, how easy it's gonna be? And it's like, well, if you can walk, you can dance salsa. And I wanted to say, no, motherfucker, no. Number one, you're insulting me because you're saying that I'm an infant and that I should, since I'm of the age that I can grasp walking, dancing salsa is not just like walking, because you could walk completely off beat. You could have completely terrible timing and you'll still be able to navigate yourself, travel yourself across the room. But if a salsa song is playing and you're fucking not doing the salsa right, you could still walk, but you're not doing salsa. So that's wrong. So there's this whole making it look easy, which I guess is for anything. I mean, that's why people watch sports and people do amazing physical things, is because they make it look easy. It makes you think. Why people watch people do those things is because it makes people think that they could do them. It makes you think the impossible is possible. And here's the news. It's still impossible for you, because it's not going to happen. What you see it happen, you can try. I mean, we can all try, and that's all we can really do. And that brings me to the kind of closing of the story is, so after going to a few of these events, I finally ended up at one where, I've been going to it a couple times. So now I've been voluntarily seeing people over a repeated time. And then there's this night that I didn't dance. There's plenty of people dancing, but since I'm not too confident with my dancing skills, I'm not trying to just have a shitty time. And the other thing about dancing when you're not very good about it is that it uses a lot of brain power. Like, there's not much fun in dancing that you're not good at. Like, the fun, you have to suck and it's not fun, and you have to use your brain a lot, and it just, there's nothing muscle memory about it, and it's stressful, and then you're fucking it up, and it just looks and fucking feels awkward, and I mean, Jesus Christ. So with all that going on, there's the night that I just didn't dance. I watched people dance. I think I got some moves. You could see some of the videos on this channel, or I've posted up, of people dancing. Here, we can go see, and I'll even put one of them up behind because it's my video, and I can definitely play my freaking video. All right, so let's let me put up my video. Shut up, Rachel. Oh, I got another subscriber. All right, who's my latest subscriber? Oh, it doesn't show me. I got another subscriber. All right, we're up to 14 subscribers. I love it. I love it. All right. So nice. So, oh no, don't get me copyright strike. It already copyright strike the other one. Okay, so we'll put this here. Boom. And then yeah, look, there we go. So this was at the event that I didn't dance at, right? And so I didn't dance at this event. And at the end of the event, now you have the community of people and you have to interact and you got to deal with the fucking people in the fucking community. So you see all these people were dancing. There's really not that much room. That's the other thing. Dancing and not bumping into people just all the time. How the fuck do you dance and not just bump into people all the time? Like, look at how much space there is and there's spinning and shit. So that's a skill. This isn't something that just happens. Like you gotta actually practice this shit. And then look at all these moves and homeboys going. So that's the DJ teacher guy. And if you're not dancing, he gets annoyed. And especially if you show up multiple times and you're not dancing, he gets annoyed. And then, so what I realized that night is that one of the dancers in here, we'll see if this fucker shows up. He's like, "Hey man, I didn't see you dancing in there. Why aren't you dancing? You know what?" And this is what he told me. He's like, "You know what? If I don't see you dancing at the next event, I'll kick you out." Oh, you'll kick me out. You'll kick me out of an event for not dancing? For me not dancing? Little fascist. It's a little bit of a fascist attitude. Never elect a dancer for any kind of political office because that motherfucker is a fascist. But so then it gets to the next event and I dance my ass off. I didn't dance well. I danced salsa, which I had no idea what to do, and so I kind of made it up. I danced the bachata, which I probably 3, 4, 5 times a song would get off beat and would have to just kind of stop and just start over, but I still fucking danced it. And yeah, and then I met some interesting people, right? You know, I don't know, and I hope I never see most of the people that I meet dancing ever again. I'll just be honest with that. If you're watching this and I dance, it's probably good that we never saw each other ever again. That's probably a good thing. You know, that's a plus. And that's a great thing about dancing is that it's about the moment. It's about that moment, and then the next moment is a new moment. And it's a very interesting kind of relationship between people. And I mean, since there's this male-female dynamic, which tends to be complex on its own, with dancing, it's a whole other complex. All the way from there being advice given that if you're in this kind of dancing community, don't hook up with any of the people that you may see on the dancing community, because that may sour things down the line, because now you're going to have to see each other. And this was something that was actually playing out on one of these events where somebody had a ex that was at the event, and there tension, drama, and that's great for me because I have none of these problems. I could care less about the dancing. I could really care less probably about any of the people in the dancing community, and I could give a fuck about the whole thing. It's all just kind of a spectacle for me. Now, that's not to begrudge anybody for anything that they're doing. And I mean, who the fuck cares at the end of the day? I mean, who the fuck cares? Who the fuck really cares at the end of the day? So it's a beautiful thing to watch. I'm just watching it happen right now. Look at that. I mean, that's great. But when I go dancing, it doesn't look like that. When I start dancing, it looks nothing. Maybe it will someday. I mean, I think this dude's been doing this shit for like 5-10 years at least, maybe his whole fucking life. So I don't know, but dancing is about the moment, which I guess brings me to a moment. I guess I don't know how to describe it, really. I don't really know how to describe the moment, but so this past week, I guess it really initiated. Monday night was the night where the guy's like, if you don't dance at the next event, I'll kick you out. You'll kick me out, dude? Which then brought me to a Tuesday night event where I'm like, well, fuck it. And what got me to do it was adopting the attitude of, fuck it. I don't care if I'm shitty at it. I'll dance with every fucking chick in here, and I'll suck or whatever. I don't care. I don't care about any of these people. I don't give a shit. I'm gonna use this as practice time, and I'm gonna be a little aggressive with it. And there was times in there where I'll just be like, hey, you want to dance? I want to practice some shit with you. And they would barely hear me because the music loud. And that's the other great thing. That's the other thing I love about these dancing events is that both times that I was at these events, I actually had to interact with a bunch of people. I wasn't feeling this before, but the Tuesday and Thursday night, I danced with a bunch of people. I guess I had to communicate with a bunch of people. To talk normally, you're screaming at the top of your lungs. So both days I woke up and I felt like a strain in my throat, and I thought, oh fuck, now I got the coronavirus. Oh fuck. But what it was I was screaming at the top of my lungs. I wasn't really realizing it because I was, the music was so loud, I thought I was just speaking normally. But just to be able to have, hey, you want to dance? I was literally screaming at the top of my lungs. So there's that little bit of it. But the other side of it is doing the... So we're doing the dancing, and then Tuesday night I dance with a bunch of people, and now nobody can fucking say shit. The DJ guy can't say shit. This guy that doesn't know me and just said that fucking offensive ass, like, said that dude. Then we get to Thursday night, and now Thursday night's an interesting night because there was always a Tuesday and Thursday night, or this guy had been doing a Tuesday, Thursday night, long before I started going out dancing. And for a while, he was doing a Tuesday night at a place in downtown, and then he was doing a Thursday night, a place in the Gables. And then the place at the Gables, it stopped happening, so then he moved it to a warehouse in the middle of an industrial district. So if you're pulling up to it, it's a place where you will get knifed. Like, it looks like you would get knifed and robbed and you would disappear, and they would put you in a vat of acid and disappear you on one of the trucks. There's literally right next to a milk refinery, place, and it's a perfect place to just dispose of whatever bodies and problems that you have going on. So, not really conducive to and young women showing up in the middle of the fucking night in little dresses to go dancing. Not conducive to any of that shit at all. But either way, the first night happens, and while it starts out slow, by the end of the night it's raging. There's probably 30 to 50 people in there, 20 to 30 on the dance floor at any given time, 5 to 10 pairs of people going at it. And it's pretty exciting. So this warehouse, so it's established that this DJ instructor dude has a following of people that if he puts out and says, I'm going to have a dancing event here, people are going to show up. And that's a powerful thing to have. I mean, there's OnlyFans models where with 1,000 subscribers paying $5 a month, they're making $5,000 per month before taxes, and they're making $60,000 a year. So there's things that you can do. So on any given night, $10 $10 a head to come into the party. There's 30 to 50 people. That's $300 to $500. And then there's some drinks and, things sold. And that's the way people make a living off dancing, off fucking dancing. I mean, you can make a living off of anything. It really. Now, I'm not saying that what was achieved was easy, but it's definitely possible. And he's definitely not the only one. So on this night where I went dancing at the warehouse, this is my second night where I'm going to go dancing with everyone. And it doesn't matter if I feel like I'm going to suck, I'm still going to go do it. And dance the night I did. And it was all going normal. I mean, everything was going fine. I was going up to, there's a couple people that I already know, had a little bit of familiarity, and I sucked at dancing with them. And then, other people that, I didn't know, I would just ask to dance, and I would go suck at dancing with them. And then, other random people here, there. And then some people I'd be like, hey, let me go practice this dance, and I would go suck at dancing with them. And then, the night rages on, and I, as part of a defense, since now there's this whole fucking anxiety with fucking dance events. Like, the fucking fun, it's already stressful as it is, and then we have these motherfuckers that are like, I'll kick you out if you ain't dancing. It's like, bitch. Motherfucker. So people, you already got the anxiety because you're fucking sucking at this dancing shit. And the only way you're going to get better at dancing is just sucking at it for fucking long enough until you don't suck at it anymore. And then you got this thing where the DJ's looking at you if you're not dancing, and then you hear this thing where it's like everybody's watching. They know the people that aren't dancing. And I didn't give a fuck about this. I'm like, fuck you. I'll dance or not dance. I'll fucking piss on the fucking floor I'll shit in your fucking shoes if I want to. Fuck you. And this is my attitude towards it, because fuck you, because that's the cool thing. Fuck your cool thing. I'll burn that warehouse down. I'll burn that warehouse down if I have to. So the point of it is that now on this night at the warehouse, I'm dancing with everyone, and it comes around the time that there's a peak, especially in the COVID times. There's a few people in the class at the beginning that's from 7 to 9 p.m. There's 2 1-hour classes. Then from like 9 to 10, it transitions from the people doing the classes to a couple of the people that came early, and they're like ready to start dancing. The dancing will start coalescing and start organically. It's like popcorn. Like there'll be all the seeds are just the people on the side, and then as the dance floor kind of heats up, they'll start popping, and people will start pairing off and start doing the partner dances. And then this is where kind of the weird orginess of dancing comes in, which is that people may be in couples, or they're hooking up, or they have some kind of relations that are going on, and then they'll show up somewhere and they'll be like, I'm here, and here's my partner, friend, whatever, and I'm gonna go dance with everybody. They're gonna dance with everybody, and we're gonna have a great time. Now, there's people that come that aren't in the dancing community, and they're just a regular couple that obviously aren't gonna do that. They're gonna kind of stick to themselves, and there'll be a couple which now has the inverse, where you understand, once you're a dancing economist, of what is really going on. When you show up, if you're an asset, if you're and depending on the market of the dance floor, and the market is dictated by leads and follows. If there's too many leads and not enough follows, no good. If too many follows, not enough leads, not good. Now, if you're a lead, it's always better to walk into a room where there's more follows than leads, because then you have options. If you walk into a place where there is more leads than follows, then you have almost no options. And if you're not at the top of the dancing, towards the top of the dancing food chain, it's going to be even that much more difficult to find a dance partner. Now, in my experience of going to dancing events and dancing things like that, the history of it is that the trend would be going to events where there would be too many leads, but they weren't leads. There's just too many dudes and not enough women. But at these dancing events, ever so often, there's too many follows and not enough leads, meaning there's too many women. And if you know how to do the dancing, you can now step in and dance with 5, 10, 20 women in a matter of a couple hours and have all these interactions real quick and very intimate interactions. I mean, the thing about dancing, what gets good about it is that you're able to have, and it's great for me because I fucking hate small talk and kind of generally listening to people just kind of chit chat about their life, especially when there's blasting music, because then they may be saying some kind of nuanced thing and I can't even fucking hear it, and all I can say is either I didn't fucking hear you and don't say it again, because that's the thing. Isn't that the most frustrating thing? You say something, someone doesn't hear you, and they're like, what? And now you got to repeat it. So I think the best thing would be somebody says something, you don't hear it, and just be like, I didn't hear you and I don't need to say it again, because I probably wasn't going to give a shit about what the fuck you were going to say anyway. So just don't say it again. Don't say it again. I don't want to hear it again. And that's kind of the struggle of any of these events. But with dancing, you just need to come up with your hand out, and I need to get better at it, because first I went from not asking at all, and then now I just go up and I say as loud, do you want to dance? Do you want to dance? Hey, do you want to dance? And I kind of put my hand out. And it could be a little abrasive, but I mean, what the fuck else can you do? What else can you do? But I see the suave. I've never been the suave guy. I don't know if you could tell. I'm sure that's a shock. I'm sure that's a shock to many viewers out there that I'm not the suave dancer that you would think I am. But since I'm not the suave dancer that you think I am, or the suave mover, I don't have those moves to be able to go out. But it's a good way to develop them, and it's a good way to be able to develop a way to have a conversation with someone without having to have a conversation with someone. And thus, at this warehouse party, again, we're getting peak time then is around 11 p.m., and then things start dying down. So it's probably after the 11 p.m. peak, and the peak amount of follows and the opportunities for matching is probably going down. I'm standing towards the back wall of the warehouse, and I'm doing a thing, which is I'm building a TikTok account, a TikTok channel. And I'm building that TikTok channel because it's dancing. I had the brilliant idea of, hey, all these fucking TikTok kids are just dancing and they're making fucking millions. I'm going to film other people dancing and put them on TikTok and see what happens. It's not going to take me much effort anyways. I'm already just standing and watching fucking people dance. So I literally made a TikTok, which is watch people dance. Here, you can go check it out. Here, TikTok. Let's see. Ricardo Dance Evolution. The evolution of TikTok dances. Can I TikTok? Can I go see anything on just the TikTok browser? Where the fuck is my TikTok, dude? Search accounts. Ricardo Dance Evolution. Where's my fucking account? Here we go. So you can go see my account right here. And you can see I got some likes. I got 26 followers. I got 135 likes. And I'm just posting shitty cell phone videos of people dancing at various places. So, because that's what I was doing anyways. I was watching people dance. So this is a TikTok channel where you can go watch people dance. So I give you exactly what you're paying for. And that's why I think I probably have the best channel on TikTok. And, just look out for it. The D'Amelio kids and whoever the fuck, get the fuck out of the way, because I'm coming. Look at those views. Look at those views, baby. Look at those views. I got more views on TikTok than I do on these stupid fucking videos. So there's that. But so I'm at this warehouse party, and this was literally the video where I took this video and snuck up right behind me was a follow, or just a lady, and she's like, "Oh man, your phone records so great." My phone doesn't do it at all. I'm like, yeah, I'm just doing a TikTok thing. But then I transitioned into, hey, do you want to dance? Which is great because I didn't have to have a conversation. So it worked out beautifully. I was like, do you want to dance? And what I realized is that this is someone who has never been to really a dance class. This is someone who is like on the outer fringes, where with like their family or their friends or something, they may have gone to dance, but they've never taken a formal class, which she admitted, straight away. So it wasn't, a big surprise. But either way, so we danced. And then she asked me for my name, and these were her words. She said, "Oh," and she's like, "What's your name? Is it something sexy like Drake?" I'm like, "No, I guess it's kind of close. It's Rick. It's not Drake, but that's not a bad thing to be confused by. And normally I'm not told by someone that I have a sexy name." So we dance a little bit, we dance the bachata, and we're normally, there's this thing in dancing which you learn, or at least I learned from the classes that I took, that when you're going up, and you're putting your arm around, someone, or you're grabbing the two arms, that what you do, they call it like the Hitch Rule, where you go 90% and they go 10%. So when you're going up to a follow, you approach them, you make contact with your hand, and then you put your hand around them if you're going to start in that stance, or if you are going to start in that stance, then you put your hand around them, and then once you put your hand around them, you see how close or far they want to be, and depending on that, you modulate where you're going to end up. So with this girl, I put my hand around her and she got real close. I'm like, all right, fine. I mean, that's usually how you actually dance in Miami. So there's nothing, no big deal about that. So we danced, again, sucked at it, but at least this wasn't like a normal dancer. This isn't one of these people that takes this shit serious, because it's not serious. Dancing is not serious. I don't give a fuck what you say. Even if it's your way to make a living, that's like how comedy could be serious for somebody. Like, yeah, it's serious. It's your livelihood, and there's the business of comedy, which you should be serious about if that's your livelihood. But you can't take the comedy serious, because then it's not comedy. Like, you have to still have fun, or what's the fucking point? So the seriousness and this anxiety that I got a guy that's gonna be like, I'm gonna kick you out of here, I'm gonna have to fucking, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna have to do with this guy. I'm gonna have to knife this guy or something, because don't ban. That's a joke, YouTube. That's a joke. No one's getting knifed. It's a joke. It's a joke. But hey, I didn't do it. Why is this guy threatening that he's gonna have to kick me out of the place for not dancing? Okay, so then at this warehouse thing, so we have that moment, and I don't really think anything of it. She's a very, very extroverted person, I guess I would say about her. And since I'm a very introverted person, a very extroverted person, I could very easily misread, because someone's openness, that they're just kind of open with everyone, I would take as like interest, an expectation of interest. Not interested, just interested to have a communicate. Just interest, just general interest. I mean, you can kind of tell if someone's interested to be around you or not. And I was getting, and this is out of the dozens of women that I'd now danced with, both in class and at these socials, this is the first person that I had actually felt had an interest in me as a human being, not just as a dance. Not to say that, I was showing interest. I wasn't showing any interest to any of these people either. But it was all very transactional. Oh, I'm here to learn how to do this dancing thing better. We're both here voluntarily, involuntarily to do this activity, and then we're probably never going to see each other again other than at this activity if we happen to both come to this activity again. And since we are, maybe I should know your name and we should have some kind of correspondence so that we don't have to repeat the same kind of bullshit every time. You know what I mean? So this is the first person that I had kind of threw me off. And then so we, the dance ends after I suck at dancing again. And then, I pull over to the side, and then, another dancer comes up, another lead comes up to her, and, it looks like he's gonna dance. So I go to her, go dance, because of the mindset of being everybody's gonna dance with everybody. Like if we were a couple and we came to this dancing thing, I would have to be, if I was one of these dancing people, totally okay with she goes and dance with everybody, I go dance with everybody, and we're just okay with it because that's just what you do in the dancing community. There's no. So when before I went to my first class, I got invited to this lunch where it was my friend, and then it was 3 people from the dance world that he had just met. And we go to this lunch, and it's at Benihana during COVID, right? And Benihana during COVID, we go to one of the tables where it's they have the cooktop in the middle of the table, and there's like 8 chairs around it. And, the 3 of them, they sit towards the back. My friend sits in the middle chair, and then I sit 1 chair over because there's no one else that's sitting, because Benihana pre-COVID would have stuffed as many people into that table as possible, but now Benihana during COVID only puts 1 party at a table, and then puts, separates 1 party at like every other table. Man, that must suck for Benihana as a money making thing. But it's great as a someone who's sitting. Someone had brought up the point that it's like everyone's almost in first class now in COVID because of the space that businesses are forced to operate at. Now, instead of being jammed in there like sardines, it's like everybody has a first class seat of life. COVID upgraded everyone to first class. So thanks, COVID, for upgrading the world, all the peasants of the world, to first class. And so I sat like 1 chair away because, my friend's a dude. I'm not trying to sit if I don't have to, I'm not trying to be all crammed up. There's all this room. It's COVID. I'm not trying to be. And these people were very weirded out by the fact I kind of sat away from them. Or they're like, what's going on? That's so weird. And they're like, we in the dance community, we're all touchy all the time. So we got to be okay with the touchy. So this was my first introduction. That was like Dance 101, is that you got to be okay with touchy. So, and I was never okay with touchy. I would, if I don't know you, if you're not, don't fucking touch me, dude. Don't come near me, dude. I'll slap you in the mouth. So it was like this don't touchy. So back at the warehouse party. So this would be something that you have to be okay with if you're going to be in the dancing community. So at this warehouse party again, I get over to the side, and then at a previous one, I thought I came early, and there was someone there that I spoke to and that I got to know, and just briefly. I probably will never see that fucking person again, but exchanged a little bit of chat before the class, then did the class and a couple dances, and then that was fine. Then I saw what looked like to be the same person at the warehouse party, going around, recording and doing some shit. And I go, oh, wow, I didn't recognize you, because it looked like they had a different haircut and they were in a different outfit, and they looked like they were the person that I was interacting with, but just looking very different. And then later on, probably a couple songs pass, I see this person again, and I'm like, hey, do you want to dance? And she goes up to me and she goes, you don't dance. You haven't danced 1 time tonight. And I had been dancing. I just recently danced, right after I took this video. I had been dancing. So now I was getting accused of the cardinal sin of not dancing at a dancing event where I was dancing. And it's probably because I don't give a shit about dancing. But the way that both these people, the guy on Monday and the chick at the warehouse, accuse me of not dancing, brings up the thought of who the fuck do you think you are to, with any kind of condemnation, tell me whether I should fucking dance or not. And it's not that I'm really offended by it. Again, I don't give a fuck about the dancing. I'm thinking about putting myself in the shoe of a person that would tell a complete stranger in the most dancing of terms to go fuck themselves. Which is essentially what that equivocates to in the dancing community. You don't fucking dance. You're a fucking nobody. You're a non-dancing fucking nobody. Now, there's these videos on YouTube where they interview this dude who's a serial killer. And there's this moment where, what is it? Where this dude, I'm definitely going to be put on a fucking list for this video. But that's funny. The film director. But you could look it up. I'm not going to mention it. But either way, this moment in the interview where the interviewer asks him something, and then, you know, because he's talking about how he would get, you know, where all the murders happened and all that shit would happen would be when, you know, he would feel that he would get offended in some kind of way, right? And he would then go and do all the horrible things that he did. And recently, even on the Tim Dillon show, where he has a whole episode about where he talks about the horrifying doorbell footage of whether it's like a murder suicide in Pennsylvania, wherever it is, over a snow shoveling dispute because somebody just said that they weren't going to shovel the snow or something crazy. And then like one of the last words that the murderer says before doing the deed is, "You should have kept your mouth shut." And I can't help but think about if I was a different person. If I was a different person, you know, if I had that kind of rage, you know, inside me and just, you know, not a care for consequences or anything, how a statement like that could really set someone off. Now, I know the rationalization of it is that person was just wrong. If they had told me that the week before, she would have been right. I've been like, yeah, I wasn't dancing. And it's fine. I've gotten rejected dancing, obviously. So it's not it was that same accusation of the crime is not dancing and it's punishable by death and exile. And you never expect that going into dancing. You never expect that going into a fun thing, not doing the fun thing would have these grave consequences and these weird kind of twists where the way that she told me that you don't dance. I haven't seen you dance once. I'm like, yeah, but let's... and what I told her was, you obviously haven't been watching me the whole night. I mean, just think of the fucking balls to say that. Like, one, how do you know if I haven't been dancing though? Have you been watching me the whole night? That's the only way you would know if I was dancing. One, you're wrong because I have been dancing, so you haven't been watching me the whole night. So you're just fucking top. But if you're actually making the statement and you're not just fucking saying some fucking horse shit, then what you're saying is I've been watching you the entire night, and the entire night, which has now been 3-4 fucking hours that I've been watching you, I haven't seen you dance once. That's what you're saying. But since I have been dancing, I know you haven't been watching me, because what fucking sociopath is just fucking watching one fucking person out of fucking 50 people at an event not dance? How are you watching the people not dance? Like, it's hard enough to see the people that are fucking dancing. How are you watching the people that aren't dancing? You stupid fucking bitch. But either way, what made it even funnier is that now the DJ guy, pretty cool guy, nothing to say against that, but it so happened that right outside this warehouse, you can actually see. So right outside this warehouse, let's see, put it over here. Oh my God, this shit's so annoying. So right outside this warehouse, right over there is, there's the outside of the warehouse, and the parking. There's parking along the street, but there's really like one little spot right here. And normally you're not supposed to park there. That's like where the people are coming in. The people are supposed to park around the street. It's an industrial area, so the businesses are closed. So whereas normally you wouldn't be able to park in front of these businesses, they're now closed and you can park in front of them. But there's this big white car that parked right in front there that kind of blocked the way. And every time the somebody would go in there or something, the car lights would blast in and would ruin the whole fucking vibe of the room. And he said we were walking in, we walked out, we were walking back in, and then somebody asked, or my friend asked, he's like, well, what's up with this car right here? You're not supposed to park there. And he's like, oh, it's this girl that thinks she's super privileged, that thinks that she could just park here. And sure enough, shortly after, this woman, told me to go fucking kill myself because I wasn't dancing, and that was like a cardinal sin. I see her walk out, hop into that car, which her privileged ass thought that she should park in, which she should have been fucking parking in, and drive off. So her cuntiness was not just affecting me, it affected the rest of the event. And I mean, if it was a week before and I wasn't dancing, you got me. But on a night that I was dancing, come on, woman. And don't park your fucking car in front of the warehouse in front of everybody. You selfish fucking bitch. And then after that, the girl she actually treats. So within like 5 to 10 minutes each other, I had what was the best experience, I would say. It was like the most human experience I'd had dancing so far. Because here's the other thing. So in these dance classes that he does, there's him, and then he has a female assistant that he shows the dance move, and then that female assistant, she goes around and you're able to do the little move with her, which is great because since she actually knows the move, you can actually feel whether you're doing the move right or not. Whereas with some fucking chump off the street, you're doing it wrong, they're doing it wrong, and you don't know what's right. So it's good, she goes around, and she's a great dance instructor, seems like a nice enough person, yada yada. But what I can tell is the way that the vibe I get off of her is that her entire kind of interaction with me is customer servicey. And I'm sure if you're not a suave moving, woman pulling dude, or woman pulling lady, maybe you're a woman pulling lady. If you're not that kind of super attractive person, and that doesn't mean you have to be super attractive, but just your whole essence is super attractive, meaning that you attract people. You're not may not just be physical attractiveness, on some kind of standardized scale, but you have an attractive personality. If you're one of these people, you probably haven't encountered this, but if you don't have it, which I don't think I do, that's why I'm doing these fucking YouTube videos, to see if there's anyone out there in the world that this can attract. Because if you're attracted to 2.5 hours of this kind of mundane chat, then hey, I appreciate it. But the vibe that I get from her is a very customer servicey vibe. And that's a thing where there's a smile, there's a really nice voice. It's very encouraging. It's very pleasant. It's everything's good. But if you weren't paying for a service, couldn't give a fuck. And now I've interacted with her outside of the class, but still, obviously, I haven't seen her outside of a dancing event. And you can almost see her not wanting. Like there was a moment in the Monday dance event where I didn't dance at all, where she was walking by, and I guess looking at the room, because there's this very interesting race, and I've kind of, I guess, mastered it in like a short amount of time just by changing the mindset, which is there's that short moment where a song ends and the next song begins, where you need to go find a partner. It's really like musical fucking chairs. So there's all this fucking stress about dancing. And this is something that when you don't expect, when you're going, the expectation is not there that you're going to have all this fucking stress that you got to deal with going into dancing. But I guess it's with any kind of human activity, there's bound to be stress, especially any kind of social human activity. There's going to be some kind of social anxiety that comes along with it. So the social anxiety with this is that now, so there's a pressure that you need to dance. If you're seen not dancing, you're like a fucking exile. And then you need to be, at least know what you're doing while dancing. And then, when you need to actually engage and get the partner to initiate a dance in order to get it going. So for the first few dances, I was even almost in the mood, ready to go do it. But finding a partner seemed like the most difficult thing, because everybody seemed like a pro at this, would be like, boom, boom, and they would go grab a partner like that. And then they'd be dancing. And it would be like, oh man, well, I would try. And obviously I was probably holding myself back because of the hesitation, because I thought I had to recognize the song, which is easier said than done. For all you fuckers out there that can just hear the beginning of a song and know if it's salsa or bachata, I got into a song which I thought was a different kind of music. I'm like, oh man, I wish that was a bachata song. And the chick was like, that was a bachata song. I'm like, what? What the fuck are you talking? That wasn't a bachata song. She's like, yeah, it was. It is a little different, but it was a bachata song. I'm like, what the fuck, man? What? What? Oh. So the girl that actually treated me like a human being, because she wasn't a dancer. That's why she treated me like a human being, because she was really extroverted and she wasn't a dancer. And she like implied I was sexy because she thought I would have a sexy name, so she was showing interest. And I never know what to do when a woman's showing interest. I don't. It fucking throws me off. But that the dancing came in handy. I was at least able to do something. So I had just met her. We shared a little dance, and then somebody else came up, and he's someone that I had seen in class. So I was like, go dance. And then after the dance, she came back and introduced me to him. Like, we were friends and she was introducing. So it was a very interesting thing. And then she starts talking about, she literally asked, she's like, oh, do you guys do online dating? Because I just came from a date and blah, blah, blah. And I couldn't hear because of the fucking music. And my comment was, yeah, I've done it. I'm not very good at it. Like, my new policy really is just fucking being honest. This whole show is just fucking being honest, and it's probably going to get removed from YouTube because I talk about, murder and all kinds of horrible things, which is all in jokes. These are all jokes. These are jokes. Jokes. So him and her, they go dance, and you kind of, and I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I wish she wouldn't have shown, and it's me. It's not her. She was probably just extroverted, but my introverted ass took her extroversion as interest, and if there was no interest, I would have gone away as I'd gone away from every other dancing night, not remembering any of the people from any of these events. The only one I remembered is that motherfucker that told me he was going to kick me out if he saw me not dancing again. Motherfucker. But this chick, so some time passes. I go and I have the moment with the chick that tells me, accuses me of not dancing and, pretty much telling me to go fuck myself. And then that whole time I see her now exchanging, information with the other dancer guy. And I have all these horrible thoughts about this guy where I'm like, oh, she's this motherfucker. Fuck this guy. And it's just this kind of male competitiveness over female, over someone who probably there's nothing going on. And I wish I wouldn't even have those thoughts. I wish that's where I wish there would just be no interest. It would just be the dance and that's it. But this is where shit gets complicated. And it doesn't need to, and fortunately nothing came out of it, which brings it back to it just being the present moment. So some time passes. I have what probably is the most human best moment of dancing, and then probably one of the worst where I was thinking very horrible fucking thoughts because this chick just told me to go fuck myself to my face. And then I'm seeing that it looked like that my little fleeting moment, I had an exchange, information with her or anything. And, she could have left at any time. So I'm there stewing. I'm having this shitty moment, with this chick that just told me to go fuck myself. And I'm seeing her, very, all the dudes are talking to her and everything. And some time passes and I'm not dancing. So now I got the stress where I'm just fucking standing there and I'm going to start getting shit from the DJ and the other fucking guy because I'm not dancing. And then I danced with what she had told me was her friend that brought her there. Because she had some story where she went on a date, and then after going on the date, her friend told her to come to the warehouse thing. So I danced with what I think was her friend, and she's the one I danced with, not dancing bachata to a bachata song, just making up some fucking dance, and then being told, no, that was fucking bachata at the end, and really feeling like an idiot. So after that, I'm just stewing, and I had like a high, like a little bit of a high, and then my dancing, the fun kind of went down. It's going good, great. I was still sucking at the dancing, but I was getting through it. And some of them, good moments. I'm probably really, underselling. I can get through some songs, but I'm definitely not. I get off beat. That's the worst part of how I dance. That at least so far 4 or 5 times a song I'm gonna get off beat and need to reset. So that's my issue with dancing. But then it comes a moment she's going back and forth, and one of those times I ask her, I'm like, hey, do you want to dance again? She smiles. I grab her by the hand, go out, and once again she gets close. I put her around, you're sometimes supposed to keep some distance, but she gets real close. And we start dancing, we do the bachata, which is a 1, 2, 3 step, 5, 6, 7 step, 1, 2, 3 step, 5, 6, 7 step. And somewhere along the way, she rests her head on my chest. And falls asleep, but doesn't fall asleep. She's just kind of and this is the first time any fucking woman that I've danced with has rested their head on my chest. Maybe this girl was on fucking drugs. I don't know. And we have a dance. And it was a very sweet moment. And then after the dance, she separates. She goes back to, I guess, where her friend was or whatever it was. I go up to her. I'm like, you're going to want to, and this is what I tell her. I say, you're going to want to put my number in your phone. Thinking I'm very suave. And she goes, no, do you have an Instagram? I'm like, yeah. It's like, put in your Instagram. And I go and I look at my thing and I search it wrong, so it takes a little longer. And then I finally find it. And she's like, give me my phone back. I want to go record this. And she goes, records the dance. And then after a while, she leaves. I don't say goodbye to her. And that's that. And the next day on Instagram, she like posted some kind of random story. And I really debated whether I should send a message or not. And I did. Nothing. Quick joke. Stupid joke. And I haven't heard back. And that's why expectations fucking suck. Don't have expectations. Don't expect anything. The best part about that whole thing was that moment. And only that moment. And that's kind of the lesson of dancing. Where you really only have that moment. Thinking of the future, you're going to be wrong. You're most likely going to be wrong about it anyways. And having any expectations of the future, you're setting yourself up. So you really only have the moment. Now that shouldn't be disparaging because there's a lot you can do in the moment. Because I did have that moment right at the end where I could have asked her to dance or not asked her to dance. And I decided to ask her to dance, and we had that very tender moment where she rested her head on my chest, and it was kind of a sweet moment. And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if I never see her again, or if I do, neither one of us remembers who the other one is. And that's why this episode was called Expectations. Thank you for watching. This is a much longer episode than I thought, but I think it's appropriate because expectations can be shattered. You're expecting an hour, you got nearly 2.5 hours. You're expecting comedy, you got a tender story. I mean, this is Oscar worthy. Subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you on the next episode.